Hi everyone, JH Champine here, back again with another writing tip video. I know I normally say that I'm back again from my home office, and right now I'm sitting in my dining room. Just thought I'd shake things up a little bit. You guys will have to tell me in the comment section down below if you like this location better than the other one, or miss my office, or have any other opinions. I love hearing from you guys. Back again to talk about writing tips and to really encourage you guys in your journey as a writer. I know journey is such a interesting word that people throw around in all sorts of different uses and occasions and, different circumstances, but writing really is a journey of learning the best ways how to do it and what works for you and what doesn't. And that's really one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. When we were all growing up learning how to write, one of the things that we were always told to do is write an outline. I know all of my friends who are English teachers out there are listening to me saying, yes, write an outline every time. And I want to apologize to all of them right now because I'm about to turn all of that on its head. So there are many people who really need an outline. They need to get all of their story ideas out, line them all up, really sit down and figure out what they're doing. Where's their story going? What do they want to tell? And then go in and flush it out. And that works really well for a lot of people. I have discovered it does not work for me at all. I will never do it again. And I know all of the teachers out there and English teachers, and I love all of you, are gasping right now. What do you mean she'll never write an outline again? Never, ever again. So let me use an example. My first book, An Unusual Path. People ask me all the time. I really do get this question often. Do I ever regret anything in the story? It's interesting because I don't get that often. I don't get that question as much with Phoenix Morrow. I get it all the time with An Unusual Path. Do I wish I had done anything different? I think a lot of it is that people really enjoyed the character of Clark, and spoiler alert, when Clark dies, there's a lot of people that were really unhappy about that. And I almost appreciated the sometimes visceral response that people had to that. And I know that there are people who loved the character and wanted to see him stick around. And I get asked a lot, do you ever regret the way where that story went? Would you have done other things? Would you have kept him around? Would you have changed other things that happened with Amy and Jack and Katie and all of the different characters are in that book? And the answer is no. They had their story. I told their story. And once the story's been told and it's kind of out of my head, I'm done with it. At least at that moment, until I go back, I actually have thought about going back and really diving back into that story to expand it into a second edition. But am I going to change what happened to those characters? Probably not. Their story was told. I've told it, I've flushed it from my brain, and I'm kind of done with it. So I'm not living with those characters anymore. I'm really living in the characters that I'm working with now. So that happened with An Unusual Path. Very similar experience with Phoenix Morrow. Once I was done with it, I was done with it. And it was all out of my brain and finished. And I wasn't regretting anything about the way that that story was told. With the book that I'm working on right now, I was about to tell you guys the title of it, but I'm kind of, I really like the title, but the title may change, so I don't want to put that out there yet. With that story, I was really in the beginning stages of hashing it all out when my family was in the middle of a move. It was over a year ago at this point, really almost 2 years ago, when we were really planning for that, and I was starting to live with these characters, and I didn't have time to really sit a lot and pound out page after page after page. We were packing, we were moving, we were getting our house ready to go on the market. We were getting ready. I mean, now again, it's almost October. We were getting ready for the holidays and listing and moving and everything else, and time was at a premium. So I had lots of little sheets of paper. I had probably a stack about this big of note cards, slips of paper, napkins. I know if you follow me on especially Facebook or Twitter, I post a lot about an Aqua Notes product, which is a waterproof pad of paper that suction cups to the wall of my shower that I use all the time. I have burned through several of those pads of paper and have given them to friends because they're fantastic. But I had a stack, I'm almost 1.5 to 2 inches thick of little pieces of paper, and last school year, so right about now, I sat down with all of this stuff that I had put together over about, maybe 6 months. So maybe it's been about 1.5 years now. About 6 months worth of little sheets of paper, and I wrote an outline. I probably put together maybe 4 pages of material before I was really done with it, and had kind of gotten all of those little scraps of paper put together, what was going to happen, the nuts and bolts of the story without really fleshing it out a whole lot. Again, it turned out to be 4 pages-ish. And an interesting thing happened. I had told the story. Even though there were so many other elements to it, it's all in my head. I know how I want to flesh that out. I know, you guys know that I love killing off characters. I know what the scenes when somebody dies, who responds to it, all of that happens. It was all in my head, but the crux of it, the nuts and bolts of the story, I told. And a really interesting thing happened, much in the same way with my other books. I almost felt like I had flushed it again out of my brain. I had told the story, and I struggled for a long time. And I still have my moments of struggling with it, where diving back into the story and writing those bits and pieces is not as easy as it was with the first 2 books. And I really do. And I say first 2 with An Unusual Path and Phoenix Morrow. Treadmill Tales was a different beast because it was a series of short stories that I had collected over time that was a blog. So I say the first 2 in the first 2 novels. With writing An Unusual Path and Phoenix Morrow, I had to get that story out of my head. I had moments where if I don't write, I'm going to strangle somebody. My husband will tell you this. There is truth to that I had to tell that story. And with the one that I'm working on now, I really think that outline burned that for me. And for all of the value that is out there for writing an outline, there's so much value to it. I understand why they teach us that as high school students really learning to write, even middle school students, younger. There's reasons that we're taught that, to line out your ideas, really get them organized before you dive into something. And while there is value to that, it is not for everybody. And the biggest thing that I want to tell you guys today is that it is okay to acknowledge that it is not for you. It's not for me. I stand by the statement that I don't think I'll ever do it again. It was too much. I should not have told the story already. I struggled with wanting to put together all of those little sheets of paper because that stack of paper felt really unfinished. And the truth was, I needed that stack of paper. I needed all of those little thoughts to be disjointed and unfinished and begging me to put them together, because when I put them together too early, it made getting back into my story really difficult. So that's what I wanted to come to you guys today and not only tell you that there's more than one side to all of these different writing tips we've been told all over the years. That includes all of my stories, all of my videos. If there's something in my videos that I tell you about that doesn't work for you, that's okay. It's absolutely okay. You need to acknowledge some things aren't going to work for you. Some things are going to be your lifeline. And part of your work as a writer and as an author is figuring that out. Nobody is going to tell you the best way for you to write. No English teacher, no fellow author, no best friend, especially not me. Find what works for you as a writer and then stick with it and jump into it and dive into it and write amazing works with your process and your system. And that's what I want you guys to go and do today. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Thank you so much for coming and listening and spending some time with me. You can always find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of it is at JH Champine, and I really do love hearing from you. Shoot me a tweet, send me a message, send me a direct message on any of the sites, or contact me through my website, and I really do love hearing from you guys. Bye!